blue glow of the baby monitor cast dancing shadows across Adam and Heather's bedroom wall as they settled in for another restless night. 6 months into parenthood, they had grown accustomed to the device's constant presence on their nightstand, its small screen offering a window into their daughter Emma's peaceful sleep. What they couldn't have imagined was that this same window would soon become a gateway for their worst nightmares. Adam worked as a software engineer at a tech startup downtown, his days filled with code and coffee, while Heather had taken extended leave from her job as a nurse to care for Emma. They lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood in Portland, Oregon, the kind of place where neighbors still waved to each other and children rode bikes on tree-lined streets. Their 2-story home, painted a cheerful yellow with white trim, had been their dream house when they bought it 3 years ago. Now, with Emma's arrival, it felt complete. The baby monitor had been a gift from Heather's mother, a top-of-the-line model with night vision, two-way audio, and smartphone connectivity. "You can check on her from anywhere," her mother had said proudly, demonstrating how the app worked. "Even when you're at the grocery store." At the time, it seemed like a blessing, a way to ease their new parent anxieties. It was a Tuesday night in late October when their world first cracked. The autumn air carried the scent of burning leaves to their slightly open bedroom window, and the house creaked with the familiar sounds of settling wood. Adam was reading on his tablet while Heather dozed beside him, exhausted from another day of feeding schedules and diaper changes. Emma had been sleeping better lately, giving them hope that they might finally get more than 3 hours of rest at a time. At 11:47 p.m., Adam glanced at the monitor as he always did before turning off the light. The green-tinted night vision showed Emma's crib in perfect detail, her tiny form rising and falling with each breath. But something was wrong. There, standing motionless beside the crib, was the unmistakable silhouette of a man. Adam's heart stopped. The figure was tall, broad-shouldered, and appeared to be leaning over Emma's sleeping form. In the grainy green light of the night vision, the intruder's features were unclear, but his presence was undeniable. Adam's hands shook as he grabbed Heather's shoulder. "Heather," he whispered urgently, his voice barely audible. "Heather, wake up. Someone's in Emma's room." Heather's eyes snapped open, instantly alert with the heightened awareness that comes with motherhood. She looked at the monitor and saw what Adam saw, a stranger standing over their baby. Without a word, they both leaped from bed, Adam grabbing the baseball bat he kept in the closet while Heather rushed toward the nursery. The hallway seemed endless as they ran, their bare feet silent on the hardwood floor. Adam's mind raced with possibilities. How had someone gotten in? The doors were locked, the windows secure. Had they missed something? The nursery door was slightly ajar, just as they always left it, and Heather pushed it open with trembling hands. The room was empty except for Emma, who was now awake and crying, her small fists waving in the air. Heather scooped her up immediately, checking her over with practiced hands while Adam searched every corner of the room. The closet, behind the rocking chair, under the changing table, nothing. The window was locked from the inside, the screen intact. "There's nobody here," Adam said, his voice filled with confusion and fear. "But we both saw him. We both saw someone standing right here." They spent the next hour going through the house room by room, checking every door and window, every possible hiding place. Nothing was disturbed, nothing was missing, and there was no sign that anyone had been inside. The security system Adam had installed showed no alerts, no triggered sensors. It was as if the figure had simply vanished. That night, they moved Emma's crib into their bedroom, positioning it where they could see her without needing the monitor. But sleep didn't come easily. Every shadow seemed threatening, every creak of the house made them jump. Adam found himself staring at the baby monitor, wondering if he had imagined the whole thing. But Heather had seen it too, they both had. The next evening, they decided to test their sanity. They set up the monitor again, watching from their bedroom as Emma settled into sleep. For 2 hours, nothing happened. Then, at 12:23 a.m., the figure returned. This time, Heather saw it first. The same tall silhouette, standing in the exact same position beside the crib. But now she noticed something else. The figure's head was turned toward the camera, as if he knew they were watching. The realization sent ice through her veins. "He's looking at us," she whispered to Adam, who was already reaching for his phone to call 911. Again, they rushed to the nursery, and again, they found only Emma, crying as if she had been disturbed. The police arrived within minutes, 2 officers who took their report seriously but found no evidence of an intruder. They checked the house thoroughly, examined the locks, and even looked for footprints in the soft earth outside Emma's window. Nothing. "Sometimes these monitors can pick up interference," one officer suggested gently. "Maybe signals from other devices, or even other monitors in the neighborhood." But Adam, with his technical background, knew better. This wasn't interference. The image was too clear, too consistent. Someone or something was appearing on their camera feed, and it was always the same figure in the same position. Over the next 3 nights, the pattern continued. The figure would appear sometime between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m., always standing beside Emma's crib, always seeming to look directly at the camera. Emma would wake up crying each time, as if sensing the presence. Heather began to notice that her daughter's crying had a different quality during these episodes, more distressed, more fearful than her usual nighttime fussing. The lack of sleep was taking its toll. Adam found himself making mistakes at work, his concentration shattered by the ongoing terror at home. Heather jumped at every sound, her nursing background making her hyper-aware of every change in Emma's behavior. They had moved Emma's crib back to their room permanently, but even that didn't bring peace. The figure still appeared on the monitor, and knowing it was there, watching, made everything worse. Friends and family tried to help, offering explanations and advice. Maybe it was a reflection, they said. Maybe the camera was malfunctioning. Maybe they were just overtired new parents seeing things that weren't there. But Adam and Heather knew what they were seeing was real, even if they couldn't explain it. It was Adam's coworker, Marcus, who suggested they might be dealing with something more sinister than a ghost or a glitch. Marcus worked in cybersecurity and had heard stories about connected devices being compromised by hackers. "These baby monitors are basically computers with cameras," he explained during a coffee break. "If someone gets access to your network, they can get into anything connected to it." The possibility had never occurred to Adam. He was careful with his computer security, used strong passwords, and kept his software updated. But the baby monitor had been set up quickly in those first chaotic weeks after Emma's birth. Had he missed something? Had he left the door open for someone to walk through? That evening, Marcus came over with a laptop full of security tools. What they discovered made Adam's blood run cold. The baby monitor, which should have been secure on their home network, was broadcasting its feed to an unknown external server. Someone had gained access to their camera and was not only watching their family but manipulating what they saw. "This is sophisticated stuff," Marcus said, his fingers flying over the keyboard as he traced the connection. "Whoever did this knows what they're doing. They've not just hacked your camera, they're inserting their own images into the feed." The shadowy figure wasn't a real person standing in Emma's room. It was a digital ghost, a terrifying overlay added to their camera feed by someone who wanted them to know they were being watched. The violation felt even worse than if it had been a physical intruder. This person had been in their home for weeks, watching their most private moments, studying their routines, and deliberately terrorizing them. Marcus's investigation revealed the horrifying scope of the attack. The hacker hadn't just targeted their family, they had compromised hundreds of similar baby monitors across the country. Each family had been living their own version of this nightmare, seeing figures in their children's rooms, experiencing the same helpless terror that Adam and Heather had endured. The deeper Marcus dug, the more disturbing the truth became. The hacker wasn't just watching for their own twisted pleasure, they were selling access to these camera feeds on dark web forums, marketing them to people who wanted to spy on families in their most vulnerable moments. The digital overlay of the figure was both a calling card and a demonstration of power, showing potential buyers that the hacker could not only access the cameras but manipulate what the families saw. The FBI's Cybercrimes Division took over the investigation, tracing the hacker through a complex web of servers and false identities. They discovered that the perpetrator had been running this operation for over 2 years, targeting families with young children specifically. The psychological profile that emerged was chilling, someone who derived pleasure not just from invading privacy but from causing fear and helplessness. The arrest came 3 weeks later. The hacker was a 28-year-old man named David Chin, operating from a basement apartment in Los Angeles. He had a background in computer science and had lost his job at a tech company the year before. His slide into cybercrime had started with simple data theft but had evolved into something much darker, a systematic campaign of terror against families across the nation. When police raided his apartment, they found walls covered with screenshots from the compromised cameras, organized by family and location. He had been studying his victims, learning their routines, and in some cases, he had progressed from digital stalking to gathering personal information for identity theft. The baby monitor hacks were just the beginning of his plan to exploit these families in every way possible. For Adam and Heather, the arrest brought relief but not immediate peace. The knowledge that a stranger had been watching Emma sleep, had seen Heather nursing her daughter, had observed their most private family moments, left wounds that would take time to heal. They replaced every connected device in their home, changed all their passwords, and installed new security systems. But the feeling of being watched, of having their sanctuary violated, lingered. Emma, now a toddler, shows no signs of remembering those terrifying nights. But sometimes, when she's playing in her room, she'll suddenly look toward the corner where the old monitor used to be and point, as if she sees something there. Adam and Heather have learned to trust their instincts about security, about the hidden dangers that lurk in the digital shadows of their connected world. The case became a landmark in cybersecurity law, leading to new regulations for connected home devices and stricter penalties for digital stalking. But for the hundreds of families who lived through this nightmare, the real victory was simpler: the knowledge that the figure in their children's rooms was finally gone, and their homes were truly their own again. In the end, the most chilling aspect of their ordeal wasn't the technology or the hacking itself. It was the reminder that in our connected world, the monsters under the bed might not be imaginary creatures but real people, sitting in dark rooms thousands of miles away, watching and waiting for the perfect moment to remind us that we are never truly alone.